I gotta ask you this. Do you know the number one thing that stops people from living an authentic life? A life that really matters to them. Not a life where they're just being reactionary, but actually an authentic life. A life where they spend their time doing the shit that matters most to them. Where they have the freedom and they have the deep, authentic connections, the relationships to feel like this is the journey of life that really matters most to them. They're not faking it. They're not going through the motions. And sure, they might experience some self-doubt every so often, but they're not stuck inside of that self-doubt. They're not constantly ruminating on the hamster wheel in their head, feeling like they're not fully alive. So do you know that number one thing that stops people from living an authentic life? You know it. It's fear. Fear is what stops us from living an authentic life. And the thing about fear, and this thing, I really hope this stays with you. I think this will be maybe one of the most powerful teachings you'll ever get around fear, or that I've ever gotten, is that fear masks itself as logic. Fear masks itself as logic. So we think that we're being logical, responsible, reasonable, doing what makes sense. But that's often the way that fear presents itself. Fear tries to convince us and justify why we shouldn't do the shit that matters most to us. You gotta be responsible. You gotta be reasonable. Be realistic. Do what you're supposed to do, right? And sure, there's a time and a place for those things, but oftentimes, and the way our brains have developed evolutionarily, is that there's the part of our brain, the mammalian part, that more animal part of our brain, that's the part that deals with fear. And then we've got that human part that comes up with language and reasons and justification. So at the core, there's actually fear there. But what we do, instead of learning to work with that fear, learning to have a relationship with that fear, what we do is we come up with stories about our life and why we should stay where we are and why we shouldn't do the shit that matters most to us or take the risk. And then we live in a society where there's so much goddamn pressure to fit in with other people's opinions. It's so fucking hard to live true to yourself when there's so much pressure from other people about who you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to do. And this has always been the case, but I think it's even more amplified right now in the current times we're living in. So the number one thing that gets in the way of being authentic is fear. And fear is going to mask itself as logic. So you got to make sure that if you want to live a life that you feel fired up about, where you're doing the shit that really excites you, you're not just getting by, you're not just in survival mode, you're not just living the it's fine, it's going fine kind of life. How's life? How you doing? I'm fine, right? If you don't want to just live that life, but you want to live a life where you feel yourself, people feel you feel alive, you feel connected to something greater than yourself. If you want to live that life, you got to watch out for how fear is masking itself as logic and giving you all types of good reasons why you shouldn't do the shit that you know deep inside would light you up. I'm recording this video now because it's a time of year where I'm bringing together a squad of people to do this deeper inner work, to be able to understand what's fear and what's actually our truth. And how do we live in accordance with our truth? Not making fear wrong, not saying we shouldn't have fear. We don't want to just pretend the fear isn't there, because then we're really gonna fuck ourselves up. We want to be able to relate to that fear in such a way where it could be like, oh, what up, fear? My homie, fear. What's good, playa? Right? You want to be able to have a relationship with that fear and then understand, where's it coming from? What are those deeper needs there? Not how did your parents mess you up? Not why are you doomed? Not why are you enough? I mean, we all have that fear that if we do this work, or if we really go for what we want, that we're gonna find out some deep truth about ourselves, which is that we're not enough. And the fucking irony is that, you know what happens? The exact opposite. we find out we are enough. We find out that, yeah, it doesn't matter what happens outside. We might go for our dreams. Some of it might happen, some of it might not. We can't control that. But what we do find out when we come into this work is that we are enough. We are, and we need other people around who are also connecting with themselves in this kind of way in order for us to really get that. You can't get the fact that you are enough if you're not in social relationships with other people who can meet you in that deep place. So my offer, my invitation to you is, if you feel what I'm saying here and you don't just want to take this as a momentary feeling of inspiration, but you want to use this inspiration to create transformation. There's a big difference. A lot of information out there. Information won't change your life. Learning the art of transformation, learning how to take that information and apply it and what conditions create transformation, that's a different game, my friend. And if you like more of that, I invite you to learn more about a program that we're going to be doing called The Cave in the Clouds. The cave is about the deeper inner work, and the clouds are about feeling like you're walking on clouds. You know, pursuing your soul goals, the things that elevate you, that make you feel like, fuck yes, this is the life that I'm meant to live. So if this speaks to you, if you've been maybe following my work for a little while, you want to come deeper into it, and today's that day where you're feeling it, well, I invite you in. Put in an application for The Cave in the Clouds. Love to learn more about you. Love to see how I can help. Been doing this work for over 12 years now, and this is my purpose. This is the shit that's most meaningful for me, that I've sculpted my life around. So, sending you my love and hope to hear from you soon. Later.